what they hated that I did, because I thought viewers at home deserved us to be honest and admit we just fucked up. Don't pretend that was great. Now here we. So I would more than the next guy note that we fucked it up, or that I, and make a joke and keep bringing back, and not like that Clippers highlight that I ruined.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Athletics Check. I am your host, Johnny Stanton, and honestly, this is one of the coolest guests that I can't say this is one of the coolest guests because every person that I've had on the show have been incredible, but I think this is definitely the guest that I have known about and have been a fan of for the longest, and I'm talking about none other than former SportsCenter anchor, former host of Wider World of Sports, Main Street, covered the Olympics. He gets into it, but this is Kenny Mayne. Kenny Mayne is one of the SportsCenter hosts of the golden age of SportsCenter with Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, Scott Van Pelt, Stuart Scott. He left SportsCenter. He came back. He and ESPN are just like are just fused in my mind. I wake up in the morning getting ready for school when I'm in like elementary school, and it's none other than Kenny Mayne on the TV giving the from the night before, just a rerun of that SportsCenter. Getting in touch with him was such a reach, and I was lucky enough to get to use my UNLV quarterback connection. He is a former UNLV quarterback, a graduate of the school, and as well as am I. So we get into that a ton. We maybe get a little granular for the Vegas, for those of you not living in Vegas or not UNLV alums, but I sure hope that you still do enjoy. I'm gonna let you guys go listen to it right now because it's probably the longest interview that I did. Because if you know who Kenny Mayne is, you know that he can talk, and I wanted to get out of the way and just listen to stories. So I hope you guys enjoy the stories. I know I did. Just recorded it. I had the best time ever. I will apologize. We didn't have time to get into the D&D adventure. Honestly, the show happened so last minute. I didn't have the opportunity to prepare a little 15-minute adventure, and I didn't want to give him a bad first impression. So nothing going up on the Patreon, but I still do hope that you guys join the Patreon, Athletics Check Patreon. It's patreon.com/athletics-check-pod. Let's get into this episode's interview with Kenny Mayne.
Mr. Kenny Mayne, thank you so much for being a guest on Athletics Check podcast. We have, I wanted to get as quickly as we could into recording this because I know that you're going to riff as much as you normally do. I just finished actually listening to for the second time, your podcast interview with Katie Nolan. And you are one of my favorite people to listen to. So welcome to the show.
I appreciate that. You mean when I was on her show?
Yes. Yeah. When you were on her show, Casuals. I'm a big fan of her show. I'm a big fan of yours. You are one of my favorite people to grow up listening to SportsCenter with.
And I'm a fan of Katie's. In fact, we got to do not very much when we were at ESPN. Maybe, I don't even remember anything, maybe one little thing. But after we both left, we've done a few things together. One of my favorite things I ever did in all the years, this was for Peacock, because I did the Olympics for Peacock after I left ESPN. And I just pitched them on a couple other ideas. What if we did this? What if we did that? And we ended up covering the National Dog Show outside of Philadelphia. So that's Googleable. I mean, it couldn't have had more fun. We just kind of get each other quickly.
I mean, I think you, with your history of Wider World of Sports and kind of just being a side quest master when it comes to the world of sports, which I want to get into. How much dog show knowledge do you have before recording?
Very little. I mean, like most of us, don't we all watch that during the Thanksgiving weekend? Most people do, I think. And one of my favorite shows ever is called Best in Show by Christopher Guest.
Okay.
And he's become, what is he to me? I mean, I'd love to call him a friend, but I think we're more of an acquaintance, and he's very good to me. He always answers my questions. He wrote me a very sweet note after the night I left SportsCenter, and he's been helpful in other ways. So, we were definitely modeling after what they did in Best in Show, not trying to rip it off, but essentially being there, covering it, but being
just having fun with it.
Really stupid while we did so.
It seems like such an organization that takes itself incredibly seriously.
There is that. But isn't that true with a whole bunch of, think of the security guards at a high school state playoff football.
Oh, yeah.
How much power
Absolutely.
they have, you know.
Yes. No, there's the one kid who's drunk in the student section, and they want to use their power to the extent of the law. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, I have to thank you again for hopping on this show with me. Like I said, I grew up with you on SportsCenter with Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, Scott Van Pelt. Then learning later that we were both UNLV quarterbacks, I think really calcified that connection that I felt, and that I'm hoping that will continue on from your side as well.
No, absolutely.
I wanted to kind of dive into that UNLV experience. I know that I was just listening to a video earlier today that you spent time at UNLV at the same time as Randall Cunningham.
Yeah, he was actually, everybody always gets it wrong, because why would you think that I was ahead of Randall Cunningham, right? He should be in the Hall of Fame. He is in college, but not NFL or pros. He was a freshman when I was a senior. And my senior year, I was second string to a guy named Sam King, who led the nation in passing yards that year in 1981. Tony Knapp's last year. We beat BYU at BYU that year. Like, we were a decent team. Record-wise, what the hell were we? Were we 7-5, 6-6?
Whatever you were a whole lot better than we were when I was there. I started, like, I think in total 6 games when I was at UNLV at quarterback, and so we have that in common as well, that we were both backups at UNLV.
Yeah, that's more than me. But so I did okay at junior college. First, I walked on at Washington. Then I walked off. I was better than the freshman. He sucked. Good guy, great athlete, but not a quarterback. They were trying to make him be one.
That was Washington's heyday as well, right?
Warren Moon was the start of that year, so I'm walking on that year. I didn't think I'd beat that Warren, but Tom Flick, Dwayne Akina. Anyway, I walked on out of high school. I was like honorable mention in high school. I wasn't great, but I wasn't terrible. I was getting bigger, and then just wanted to go play. So I left. I went to a place called Wenatchee Valley Community College. It's once coached by Don Coryell, by the way, Eric Coryell. It's where you get your apples from. All right, middle of the state of Washington. And then had a bunch of different options coming out of JC. But the one I liked best was UNLV, and they didn't even offer me. Like, at first they seemingly were going to, and then they chose Sam. And so I was like, do I go to Weber State? Do I go to Montana State? You know, these different places, but schools in Washington. I was like, I love the field down there. I'm just going to go see if I can make it. So I walked on, got a scholarship right away, redshirted that first year, and then I broke my leg fairly severely the middle of game 6 maybe of my junior year, my first year playing. So when I came back, it was sort of a miracle that I could even come back. They didn't think I was going to, because it was a pretty significant injury. But, you know, I backed up Sam. I started one game, had fun, got to meet Randall Cunningham. So I regret I didn't do better.
I think everybody who becomes a retired athlete that didn't, you know, come out at the top of their game looks back at their career with a lot of regrets. I look back at my career. I was able to, you know, beat the odds. I switched from quarterback to fullback, joining the league with the Minnesota Vikings, continued on for a couple years. I got to score a touchdown in the NFL. And I still think about the times that, like, okay, you know, what if I chose a different school coming out so I had better opportunity to play quarterback? What if I had, you know, spent a little bit more time watching film or whatever? I think that's just the idea of, like, I think the best athletes are perfectionists. And I don't think anybody who's not a perfectionist is like looking at it the same way.
No, I absolutely, it's not like I beat myself up over it every day, but it's always the whole thing. In fact, I was just giving advice to a non-athlete, a kid just going to a college who's my friend's son. And he thought I was being silly. I was like, no, I'm being sincere. It's the old, if I knew then what I know now.
Yeah.
And you know, if we could all apply that in a whole bunch of different ways, the film thing for sure. Like, it wasn't that I was a screw off, but I didn't study it as diligently as I should have, period.
Yep.
Like, cause I can still throw, but did I know exactly where to throw? Like, Joe Montana knew where he was throwing
right
before he got the snap. He's like, okay, we're doing this now. You know,
what did you think about recently, Tom Brady saying that I just saw this on a clip on something on Instagram, and Tom Brady said something to the effect of he didn't feel like the NFL or the quarterback position was as, like, intellectual of a position before he got into the league.
I think I missed that quote. I would totally disagree, because not only did they have to figure it out in the same way, but they also had full-on defenses coming at them. Whereas today, not that it still isn't, it's a violent game still, but quarterbacks are so protected over the last decade or more. And Joe Montana was getting picked up and speared into the ground. Like they could bump the whole field. That's another example, right? They don't have the 5-yard check rule. And yeah, I would entirely disagree. Now, probably as years have gone on, there have been greater athletes with greater speed on defense than there were when Johnny Unitas was throwing. Not that he couldn't throw, but
I think Johnny Unitas was the first jersey I ever bought.
Yeah, number 19, wasn't he?
Yeah,
or 18 or 19. 19,
I think. Yeah,
like I'm like, who was Babe Ruth hitting homers off of? That's the one I go to. Now, he probably was a good player. I'll give him that, but. I
think when it comes to like thinking about it as an intellectual sport, it's like they were reading defenses the same way. Sure. They were still like, I think there's definitely become more of a science, and I don't think, I think that they weren't necessarily getting the Jaden Daniels looking into an AR or VR goggles to be able to read defenses at 2 times speed, but they're still watching the film. They're still in your day. What was that? What was UNLV like in general? Just like, the vibe of the team and the campus?
When you say film, we always often football players who played at really any era over the last, we call it film, even though it's all, digital now, right?
Yeah, of course.
But in the old days, I think we rotated for, we had our Monday or Tuesday, install, and Coach Knapp would assign one of us. I think we just rotated. Somebody had to thread the projector. Kids today wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about, but you had to physically take, the end of the film and make it loop through and not burn it. That was always a downer if it froze,
Yeah.
But to me, it was big time. I knew that it wasn't, what the hell was it? Was it the Pac-10 in my day? Pac-8 changed to Pac-10 about that time. So we knew we weren't them. We knew we weren't USC or whoever. But on the other hand, BYU was really good. They had Jim McMahon and Steve Young was in that day. And they were, Lavelle Edwards, they were highly thought of. So we were good enough to beat them on a certain day. And some of the athletes were incredible. The Morton family, Johnny Morton, Chad Morton.
Okay.
And we had Michael Morton. And he's in the same family. And, these guys are ran 4 2.5s coming out of Inglewood and Crenshaw and Compton. And it was so fun, too, when you take me back to those days. My first spring there, the Sonics won their only championship, 1979. So it was meeting these new guys, we were all obviously into sports. They were bragging up the Lakers. We beat the Lakers on the way to play the Bullets. So there was something about that. That I learned how to play dominoes also. I can note that. Because they always said white people think dominoes are for like setting up and you flick it and they all fall over,
Okay.
Black people play 5s on the outside. Yeah. I thought you were good at math. I thought you guys were all good at math. They always played that. And I'm still friends with the whole bunch of my teammates. So, the whole experience was great. I wish I had done better personally, mostly for Coach Knapp, because he, gave me the scholarship. He believed in me, and I feel like to some degree I didn't live up to what he wanted. But at the same time, the school was great. I had a great professor named Al Paterud. I had an internship at the PBS station. Lee Winston was my guy there. And I just kind of grew, both physically and, emotionally, mentally, everything, educationally, and kind of set myself up for what I was going to do next, which for a while, I still wanted it to be football, right? Once you play at a certain level, even if you're not a star at that level, there's still a chance, because if you're still developing and you have the arm or whatever. So Coach Knapp talked the Seahawks into letting me throw because Sam had turned them down. He was going to go to Canada. He had like a heart murmur, and he never got to play in the NFL. In fact, I think he's okay that I would say this. We're good friends. He had a heart transplant. He has a new heart.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a public thing. And he's doing great. Every time I go to Vegas, I try to look him up and play golf or see him in some fashion. But after Sam said he wasn't going to go up to look at Seattle, I went up there, and that's where I'm from, south of Seattle anyway.
Yeah.
And the throwing, people don't always know this, but NFL, when you hear like the Vikings brought in 2 fullbacks this week or whatever, it's pretty loose. It's not like there's no parade. It's just the guy comes in, shakes.
It's an interesting experience for sure.
Throws on some sweats. I'm sure you've been through, So I go to do mine, and this is at their original headquarters, which was on northern part of Lake Washington. Now they're at the south end. who comes out to run routes for me? Steve Largent. I'm like, well,
Wow.
that's a good deal. I'll
Hell
go.
yeah.
Nice to meet you, Steve. Big fan.
They don't do that kind of thing anymore.
And he couldn't have been nicer. He was just, I just saw him recently. He didn't remember. And, why would he? It's 45 years ago. But he was great to me, gave me like, you're a fine kid, hanging there. And I threw really well and signed like the dumbest contract, probably one of the worst contracts in the history of the league, I'm guessing. I think Dave Craig was right in there with me. But I went to the camp on the first day, a few weeks later, and I failed the physical because of the ankle that I talked about from 1980. So, and then I got into TV, and it took a while, but I ended up doing what I did.
I mean, there's a million things I want to talk about just off that story alone. But I do want to make sure that we get to plug your foundation, based like talking about your ankle and the device that you use to help stabilize and be able to be healthy in general. Can you tell me a little bit about Run Freely?
Yeah. So about 2011, 2012, somewhere in there, those were some of my worst years. That early period there were of 2010 on. I mean, to just walk down the street or to get off an airplane after locking up, for a couple hours. I mean, I was in really bad shape. And
this is from basic college injury.
Yes, from the injury from 1980. And I'd had like a dozen surgeries, but there was kind of nothing left to do. Like we did a story one time with Warren Moon pretending, because he was the all-time fumbles leader at the time, pretending that he was born with butter on his hands.
Okay.
We took a friend of mine's 5-year-old son and put his hands up and then showed like a Denny's butter patty. So we literally flew to Birmingham, Alabama to meet Dr. James Andrews, a Birmingham famous surgeon, did Tommy John, all that. And I got him to pretend that he was scraping butter off of Warren Moon's hand. And we just took another guy's hand. He was the fake Warren Moon. And then Warren's going to try to come back to football because he had retired because of the butter, right? That's the whole premise there. This was like on Countdown, right? The main event thing we did.
Okay, yeah.
And I sweet talked his front office people into some free x-rays. And I took them back to him. They printed them. And he held it up and he just went, Lordy, Lordy. And so if James Andrews tells you your ankle sucks, that's kind of, anyway. So those years, I literally went, I'm in Seattle now. I'd moved back from Connecticut, still with ESPN. And I went to the fusion doctor, the replacement doctor, and the amputation doctor in a span of like 10 days. And I wasn't doing it as a joke, or it was like, it hurt so bad. And I know I was depressed, but I wasn't acknowledging it. It was more like, fuck, how am I going to walk today? And taking too much codeine, not like, 20, I don't mean like abusively that way, but needing it and wishing I didn't,
Sure.
So the fusion guy, I didn't like that plan because it was like, it's not 100% sure. The pain might stick around and now you got a foot that's locked. Now you can't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
Replacement guy, I said, well, can I still play like flag football? And he said, no, we don't want you to run. I said, I can already not run. Why would I do your stupid surgery?
I'm going to guess that the third doctor, I can't think of the word for it. The amputation doctor. I'm going to guess that he's not going to say that you can run on that one either.
No, but he's the one who changed my life. So It's funny how it all worked out. There was a group of them. I think there were 2 or 3, and they just said, look, I was probably 52 at the time, somewhere in that neighborhood. They said, you're too young to be doing this when you're not in such pain that you can't do anything. You're just in pain. Let's get you out of pain. Go get better therapy. Go get this device. They told me about some guy in California, down in Carlsbad. And a couple months later, roughly, I was lifting. My daughters were in swimming at the YMCA, and this guy comes up, and he saw me limping around, stacking the weights. And I told him my story. It turns out he's my daughter's PE teacher at local elementary, but I don't think I'd met him or I didn't recognize it was him. He says, go see this guy named Nino Pribic. He's a chiropractor in Kirkland across the lake. He said, just go once, just do it. Like, don't give up on it. So I go. Nino utterly changed everything. He brought the leg out of, it was dead. Like it was a dead joint that probably needed to be cut off, but he brought it back to life. I go down to this guy named Marmaduke in California. He makes these braces And I started using that for a couple of years, and it got me out of pain, and I was able to do things again. But some time went by, and I found a better device near Seattle in Gig Harbor, this guy named Ryan Blunk. And when I got mine, I was able to run on the first day on a treadmill, like
Wow.
like running 10 miles an hour. So I called Gretchen, my wife, and I was like crying for 2 hours. Like, I couldn't even believe, are you kidding?
Wow.
I couldn't do this shit again. And so we both just, let's do something good about it. So I know it's a long story, but that's how Run Freely was born. It's called Run Freely, one big word, runfreely.org. And we've had it going since 2018. So I think we're up to like 60 or more veterans who have been, we don't do a ton. We do 4 or 5 a year, 6, 7, whatever it turns out to be. But we've had so many.
It's so expensive to get a device like that. And that's what you guys do.
They're like $8 to $10,000, and insurance, because it's kind of experimental. It's a tough thing. The VA is not helping. I think the government or the Defense Department, I guess they're calling it the Department of War now. The Defense Department has a deal where they've made their own. I don't know where they manufacture it.
Right.
I promise you, it's not as good as the one I have. Like, I've seen. I think they call them IDOs. IDOs, I think is what they call them. Ours is called an exosim. So people can look on the website, but you stick your leg inside the device, and then you stick the whole device in your shoe, which you buy one extra size, to fit it in. And I just played golf yesterday. I'm sore here, sore in my shoulder. That's just because I'm old. Nothing to do with the brace. But I zero pain in my ankle when I do shit like that now. And I might swell up a little bit, or I might have a little achy, ice or something, but nothing like it used to be. So we're really fortunate that I got one. And then
to turn that around and want to have other people have that same experience as you. That's amazing.
This episode is brought to you by Hero Forge Custom Miniatures. Hero Forge is a free-to-use online character design application. That basically means if you want to play a TTRPG and you want to have a 3D printed miniature of your character, Hero Forge is the place to go. You can print them at home, you can print them there, and they will ship them to you. They are always incredibly crafted and designed, and the print process is so exact. It's really impressive. Every time I get to see one of these miniatures, their character design and customization is second to none. You get to 3D model your mini right there on screen, and you can see it as it real time. Updates to any kind of customization you want. Their facial customization is super impressive. Make sure that you go to heroforge.com to design your custom miniature today, and always check back regularly because they always come back with the coolest updates. They have new content every week, whether it's a new piece of clothing, a new race, whatever you can imagine, you can make it on heroforge.com. So go to heroforge.com today to start designing your own custom miniature. What's up, guys? It's Johnny again. I just wanted to thank you for listening and to encourage you to join our Patreon at patreon.com/athletics-check-pod. You'll have access to all of the little mini adventures that I run for each and every guest. This is about 10 to 15 minutes where I run them through a short TTRPG adventure. And for a lot of these people, especially the athletes, it's their first time running a game like this. So it's my honor to get to be their very first game master. And one of the best parts about being a paid member of the Athletics Check Podcast Patreon is that you get a chance of having your name shouted out in the middle of an episode. People like Andy Chang, Camilla, Francis Xavier Lally, John Guillaume, Jamie Bellin, Will, Zachary Loradich, Ladarius Smith, and Daniel Siuba. Thank you so much for being paid members. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Let's get back to the action.
Last year I had the opportunity to speak over at Binghamton College in New York to do a TEDx talk at an event over there. And I was trying to figure out what am I going to talk about. What I ended up talking about was, I have the show is called Athletics Check because Athletics Check is a term in the game Dungeons and Dragons. I came to start playing D&D when I was at UNLV, when I was living in Las Vegas. And it was actually at a time in which I was injured. I tore my LCL, my right knee. We're playing Idaho State, and big old defensive lineman jumped on me after a QB draw. I was lying on my back with my legs tucked against my chest to try to protect myself. Guy jumped on me, just turned my knee in the wrong direction. So I didn't get to play the rest of the year. It was kind of one of those nagging injuries that I just couldn't get back from. And I could feel myself, because this is my first year. I went to University of Nebraska for the first 2 years, went to junior college, similar story as you. I got the opportunity to get offered by UNLV out of junior college. And I thought, I'm gonna have this awesome year. I had this picture from, you're in Vegas, so you can see all the sports books around. We can bet, for legal reasons. But I have a picture of the Heisman Trophy draft, Heisman Trophy odds. And I think that year you had like Jared Goff, you had a bunch of guys. I think I can't even think of anything right now, but I think of Jared because he was in the same class as me. And at the last name on the list, right above the field, was Johnny Stanton at like plus 5,000 or something. Yeah. And that year, I was so much looking forward to it being like, a resurgence for me, getting back to where I felt like I could be after, injuries and everything. And I ended up hurting my knee again. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to handle like not having what I identified as, which was an athlete and being on the field. And the only way that I could identify in that way, a million people have had that same kind of issue of getting injured and not having that to rely on. So that's when I kind of turned to start playing D&D as like almost like a coping mechanism. But it ended up becoming, the way that I found a lot of fulfillment and like not just like building skills and elsewhere and having a good time, but also growing together with some of my teammates that I introduced the game to. And I was wondering, like, when it did come to those times of like, getting injured, having that gnarly ankle injury, or back in 2011, 2012, when you're, at that lowest point, before you were able to find that device to be able to help you out, what were those like that coping like? Was there anything that you were able to turn to that, you might have found yourself to have been, I talked about that nerd jock binary. Is there anything that you were able to like kind of turn to in that nerdy way?
Honestly, I think in a whole bunch of things through my life, just perseverance was got me. Like I was, halfway good at football. I think I know how to write and perform. Like I'm halfway good at those things, but it always took the persistence of not accepting somebody else's valuation of you when they didn't see what you could do. Yeah. So I remember Coach Knapp was like, hey, we know you're not gonna be able to play. We're going to honor your scholarship. Come back here, finish your degree, support the team. We don't want you to, we're not going to steal this from you. Yeah. Which was appreciated, but it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to go back, of course, start, not just play. Yeah. And I just willed it. Like, I remember this one day, it was stupid what I did, but the family was in Seattle and the subject came up because I think it was almost July at that point. And they were thinking, well, you're never be playing. When are you going back to school? And I was like, no, I'm still playing. It's like, are you crazy? And I went and did a run on this messed up ankle, which I probably didn't do the right rehab on to begin with, right? Sure. I ran like 9 miles or some stupid thing.
Oh my God.
For no reason, just to like.
Football players aren't built to run like that.
No, I used to love running 2 miles. Mile or 2 miles hard got my wind, and then you run 40s on it. But somehow, some way I started throwing. I was already throwing, but I couldn't decide, am I really doing this, or is something going to tell me that I can do it? So I remember when I went down there, our physical fitness test at UNLV at the time was to run 5 400s in a row, and the only break you had was like quarterbacks went, then tight ends went, or running backs or whatever. And so you had their whatever time it took them, 80 seconds or less, right? And I won my first 4, and people were astonished. Like, they didn't think I was coming to play, and yet here I am, just like, Ronaldo Nehemiah out there. Now he was a 110. What am I talking about? Edwin Moses. That's what I was trying to say. Okay. And Michael Johnson. Yeah. I think I took second on the last one. I blew the last race. But my point is, I kind of like, here I am. I'm healthy enough to do what I just did. I'm still not super fast. I was high 4.7s or whatever, but it was just the will. And I think that happened a lot for getting to different positions, like how I got to ESPN as an example, just not accepting the no and figuring out a way to get it to yes. So I think that's what I leaned on, is just whatever was instilled in me to not give up on myself.
Incredible. I know you have a show that's on, I searched it. It's on Apple TV Plus. I didn't realize that because one of the things, I think the reason you were on the Katie Nolan show to begin with, Casuals, was to promote your New York live show of you doing stand-up and along with your show Wiffle Ball, your movie Wiffle Ball. And it's where you had this memory of being able to play wiffle ball with Ken Griffey Jr. and kind of just the making of that documentary. Please, I want you to be able to explain it, because you're going to do a hell of a lot better job than I am.
I mean, it's slightly convoluted, but after I left ESPN, I just started dabbling in a bunch of things. I did the Olympics for Peacock. I did a couple commercials. I did a thing for Caesars for a couple of years, promotions and showing up at appearances and whatnot. But the whole time I was like, but I still want to do the things nothing against those things, but I wanted to do whatever I was create on my own, right? And I ran into Griffey at the Seattle Sports Awards show, which I've always either been the host or, had a video or, I've been a help in that for many years. And afterward, he gives this great speech because he won like the Legendary Player Award, right? The Royal Graham Award. And I went up and told him, great speech, congratulations, whatever. And kind of out of nowhere, he made reference to an event that had happened 34 years before when he was a rookie, where the two of us threw wiffle balls at Seattle Science Center. And when I bumped into him through the years, it's come up other times. I've joked about how I beat him, because in my head, I still think I beat him. We threw to a speed pitch, right? And I mean, he probably had a game that night and was throwing half speed for all I know. But I put my arm in a thing like that against most people, maybe not everybody, but and I always have this memory that I beat Griffey at this wiffle ball thing. And at the time, we made some dumb little 3-minute funny little story out of it and showed it on the local news and kind of forgot about it, right? But I had the original tape. I had the raw footage all these years. It had been in 7 different houses and garages and basements, and
So that's a legacy item that you're going to give your kids.
Yeah, it just hit me like, wait a minute, if Griffey's still thinking about it, there's got to be a funny story to tell.
Yeah,
right?
some value in it.
He's like our Willie Mays, right? So I went and found the tape. I started piecing it together. I couldn't get the tape viewed because it was so old. Nobody uses that anymore. It's rare that people even have the machine to stick Beta SP. It's called Broadcast Beta SP is the name of that type of tape. And I found a guy in Seattle who was an old friend. He had the machinery. I got Ken Burns to be in it. We got some Pearl Jam music, Head in the Heart music, rapper named Sam.
Amazing.
Yeah, love Head in the Heart. Sam LaChow, the rapper, did a video for me, or did a song for me. And this guy named,
when I was watching the trailer, it was that the Ken Griffey song that was playing over the trailer.
When you see the art,
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But Griffey didn't want to be in it, and I didn't really hear a great reason, but he didn't want to. And then the Mariners then weren't super helpful giving me archival footage because they already knew he didn't. So I got Keegan Hall, who's a local artist and a friend. He drew this incredible, and we show it in time lapse, where he draws with a pencil a picture of Griffey, and then we introduce Griffey and the song at the same time. Like, it kind of made it better, actually.
Yeah.
And then Ken Burns was amazing, the famous documentary maker. So anyway, I made this little 30-minute movie. We put it in some film festivals. Didn't do great. It only got accepted live once on some online ones. And then I talked Fubo TV into putting it out. But again, wasn't heavily promoted. Nobody's really heard of it too much.
Sure.
But I wasn't giving up. I'm still not giving up on it, actually, because I want the thing to be seen in a broader way. Mm-hmm. So over Christmas, I decided to make up another act that would complement the movie. And it was essentially like a 30-minute stand-up that would marry to the showing of the movie. So it's like a stand-up show meets film festival.
Yeah.
And we did it in Vegas at Kimmel's Club, did it in New York City, a place called the People's Improv Theater. And I did it again in Vegas, but this time we taped it. This is late June. And so we have something to show. And we're just now, like, I don't think anybody has seen it yet that is somebody we want to target. But you can't just call the front desk at Netflix, right? You can't, hey, HBO, I'm the guy, You kind of need representation, somebody they already have heard of that isn't, some guy off the street. That's just the way it works. So literally just emailed somebody in the last couple of days as we tape this. And my hope is somebody will start up here at Netflix. We'll take it down to Freevee if we have to. No offense to Freevee fans out there. But I want to see it through. Like, because I think the stand-up, I sent you a couple clips, wasn't terrible. They laughed at the right point.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're pretty proud of the movie. So I'm hopeful somebody says, oh, that whole 60, 70 minutes, that's a TV show. And then we would reshoot it, with bigger, fancier cameras. And maybe the next time we talk, I'll let you know that, HBO Southeast is picking this up. Somebody.
Well, when the red carpet rollout for HBO Southeast rolls it out, I'll be there.
Plus,
there are a lot of stand-up events that are like being released on YouTube nowadays, and I want to talk about your YouTube a little bit because,
well, honestly, I'll stick it anywhere. I'd rather, as I've learned, when you get somebody with some standing that can appropriate the money to, instead of just, here it is, let's hope we get lucky.
No, absolutely. I'm more wanted to have some kind of transition into your YouTube, because your YouTube is honestly hilarious. I love the videos that you post of the bears in your backyard.
Yeah, I haven't been as I keep forgetting to do more. I tried to turn to Instagram. I used to be Twitter. Then
I am one of 2 viewers of your most recent video 3 months ago.
I love it. I'm going to start pumping it out just for you.
There you go. I think you need to get on TikTok.
Why not?
I mean, it's, Trump keeps on pushing back the the banning of TikTok, so I figure, might as well invest into it now. And you're posting 30-second videos on your YouTube. I think it's probably good to go on, just talk behind the camera, and people love you already.
I mean, I can show you, I've done this before, like I did it at Scotland, which is a show we haven't even talked about yet, our new golf show. And I just did some videos where I held the camera and talked, and I did it at the senior golf. I did it with children playing miniature golf. Like the making of the dumb little things isn't that hard. I seem to be not very adept at, how to get it and go out wide. Because
there's no need.
I was doing Twitter, and I was, I wasn't huge, but compared to most, I had, like 500,000 or whatever I had. Right? There were other people that had 5 million or more, and I did it a lot, and I knew how to do it. Like I knew the methodology, and
I'm right there with you. I was so bummed when Twitter just went down the drain, because it's what I knew and it's what I felt good about.
And I felt dirty ever doing anything there anymore. So I sort of went cold turkey. I didn't know how long ago, and didn't even look at it. In fact, I took it off my phone, but it didn't make the account go away. I put it back on my phone just to monitor what's happening. But I did this small little deal with a company that they do like fantasy sports, but they really wanted me to do the promotion of it, just putting up a video or 2 back on Twitter. And I said, no, but I've kind of quit Twitter. They're like, yeah, but you only have like 5,000, 8,000 people on Instagram, and you don't even do TikTok. So I did it, and I regret it because people saw what I did. They're like, oh, so you came back here to make a buck, huh? You did. So yeah, I'm gonna keep building on it, but it kind of plays into it. I'm not intentionally doing this. It actually just follows. We have a new show that by the time this episode airs is already out, and that's definitely going to be, I think it's going to profit me in those worlds. Like the attention that we'll get for this new show will kind of help lift other things up that I'm sort of dabbling in right now. But we have a show called We Need a Fourth.
Yes, I wanted to ask about it.
It's about golf, and the guys from Smartless, Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, they have their
one of the biggest podcasts in the world.
Yeah. So what happened was theirs was such a success, they made a big deal with Sirius, and the intent is to bring on other shows, right? We're kind of like under their umbrella. So, and they've been very helpful. Jason Bateman did a great interview for us. Will Arnett, we're getting the right support, and we hope it takes off. It's me, Cooper Manning, who I like to describe as the more intelligent and sensual of the Mannings.
Sensual, hit that.
And then Kevin from The Office, whose real name is Brian Bumgarner, who's a very good golfer. And
iconic LA sports fan too.
Oh yeah, he's hardcore sports bets, loves to bet on golf. And so we were super lucky. We got flown to Scotland late July by the guys from Travis Matthew, right? The clothing maker.
Oh yeah.
They do this ridiculous event where they bring like 40 or 50 of their people, like a convention. And then they bring, who was there? Vince Carter, Austin Reeves of the Lakers.
Yeah.
Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, some golf influencers like the guys from country club adjacent. Fat Perez was there.
Okay.
And then us. They brought Brian Cooper and me, and we got to play golf. We got to eat free food. We got to stay in the Old Course Hotel. And probably better than all that, we got to shoot cool videos that we're now using, to support the rollout of the show.
And that show releases, you said, September 15th?
It's already happened. By the time this airs, we're now, who knows what date it is, but I think it's later than September 15th by now.
Yeah, by the time this is releasing, absolutely. We want to be able to get everybody. I will absolutely be a listener. I'm not the world's biggest golf fan. It's something that I tell everybody I only ever get to do it when I'm on bachelor parties. And it's one of those things that you'll hate your life until the 16th hole when you have one good shot. It's like, okay, yeah, I get why people do it. Is that something that you get to do?
Yeah, it is the weirdest sport. And I think, it's a little bit of an excuse, but because of my ankle issue, I wore this device, and it's not as natural a swing as you would hope. Also, I think just, don't you get sore at whatever age you are now in ways you didn't 5 years ago, 10 years
100%.
ago?
100%.
And so, you're constantly, I have to stretch every day. In fact, I started going to the stretch lab, free shout.
Yes, I've heard of it.
It's amazing. I got this girl, Amy, who weighs like 7 pounds, and she's just pulling. I liken it to if you go to an NFL game, in the end zone, 2 hours for the game, there's the physical trainer guys with bands and the whole thing, and they're stretching people out. So it's manipulated stretch. You're not really doing much on your own, but I need it because, if I could get looser, I think I'd get better. But I'm kind of stuck in the high 80s, low 90s. I played yesterday. I was like a 93. Not proud of it, not embarrassed by it. But I'd rather be 85-ish. That's the window I want to be in.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think that I know how good it is. Like I think as a quarterback, you become you're a rotational athlete. They talk there's linear athletes and then there's rotational athletes, and the quarterback's the only rotational athlete on the field at any given point. You got kickers as well, but I feel like it should translate to golf. It should translate to your other rotational sports. Tennis, baseball. I wasn't a bad baseball player, but never translated to golf for whatever reason.
I'm going to throw this into the equation because you're always looking for that video or you're looking for that piece. Like my friend Jesse says, you'll seek advice from anyone. And you could be pulling into a parking lot to play golf. Yeah. And the guy delivering potato chips, what do you have to say? Yeah. What can I do with my swing? My eyesight is not as good. I wear glasses, like I'm seeing here perfect, like it's TV perfect, but I know I'm straining a little bit, right? So when I read or I'm on the computer, I definitely need to wear my glasses. And I'm seriously wondering, should I be would that help see the ball better than, I think I'm going on feel more than I should. Yeah. So, my goal is to get better. I'm playing once, sometimes twice a week, but not 5 days a week. Sure. And I don't practice. That's the funny thing about golf. When I played football, I threw, I got coached, I looked at film, I did these things necessary to try to get better. Golf, you go hit 12 balls. I'm ready, let's play. Or you don't hit any balls. What warm up. Yeah, how are you going to get better if you don't put the time into the repetition,
Yeah, that's the part, bachelor parties every, year or so. And it doesn't quite do it enough to actually get you good. I did want to ask, have you ever come across anything that you would consider, or the 80s high school bully would consider to be nerdy? Like, have you ever had the opportunity to play something like a Dungeons and Dragons? Or have you ever? Because I actually got the opportunity. Yeah,
my game of choice. See, I'm so old that there was a game called Pong. You might have to Google it. Like when people first started doing other stuff on their TV than just watching the free channel, and it was like tennis, but really rudimentary. It was just go back, Google Pong. It's funny. I'm
well familiar. Absolutely.
Okay. But they had a game called Defender.
Okay.
It came out, I think, late 70s. Because I just remember that was kind of my nerdy, I'm going to go, you know,
to the arcade or whatever.
Out of football season, I already did class. I got nothing going until dinner. And you'd go to like an arcade place or a restaurant that had games. I think Pac-Man was in the same neighborhood, the same vintage.
Sure.
But Defender, you had this little spaceship, and you were like...
I was going to say, was it like the kind of Galaga was kind of another version of that?
You were defending. You Department of War. You know, we were going for it. But no, I mean, I remember I sent you a note on it because you'd mentioned about finding things one quote unquote would be. I didn't consider this nerdy except for my fascination makes it nerdy maybe, but I consider myself one of the foremost authorities on Stevie Wonder.
Incredible. And
have a couple great Stevie connections that made it even more special because I just grew up, you know, the Beatles, James Taylor, every girl had Tapestry by Carole King. Along came the Jackson 5 and Stevie Wonder was already out. And who else were they listening to in those days? I'm trying to remember like what would have been the next iteration. But that was it. Like in my mind, you got James Taylor and Stevie Wonder and the Beatles. Those are pretty good building blocks for, you know, so much music is based on, you know, what they laid out when they were coming up and getting prominent. But years later, this is after I finally got on the air at this little station in Seattle after the Seahawks. Took like 3 years. I was kind of a gopher, then a producer, then a writer. Then they finally put me on TV. And second night on the air, I'm going to do like my local news guy report. And Stevie Wonder was in town for a concert series that started the very next day. So I talked to the assignment editor, hey, after the boring city council thing, can we go to Stevie Wonder's sound check? And we go over there, and it's like if you were the biggest Beatles fan ever and you saw John Lennon. It's like that.
Yeah.
You know? And I go up because somebody more enterprising than I went up on the stage and started asking him questions. We weren't even supposed to, right? We're supposed to just take B-roll and get out. So I get up. I'm the last guy in, and I'm at the very end of his keyboard. He's way on the far left, and I'm on the far right. And I'm so nervous I can't hold my microphone. I'm just like shaking. Like I couldn't believe that I'm 7 feet from Stevie Wonder. And I set my microphone on his keys. So he's talking, but you hear like, dong, you know, and he just reaches over and he turns it to 0. He didn't get mad. He didn't even comment on it. But years and years later, I did a couple other things with him and I told him that story. So I said, essentially, we have collaborated. You know, I kind of brought it up and you took it down. And he was like, let's make the album, you know? So, but no, I got this, you know, people didn't do it anymore, but back in the day, you'd physically buy an album, right? Like the vinyl record.
Yeah.
They're coming back. The cool ones had the lyrics and the art and the backstories, and you'd just study, you know, you'd play it over and over and over. And I had, you know, I got Talking Book memorized and Intervisions memorized. And I remember my senior year of high school, Songs in the Key of Life was coming out that fall. And it, you know, he always was delayed. It was supposed to be out in July, then it was August. I feel like it came out in late September. If I could be wrong, but somewhere in that neighborhood. But I would call a record store every day after practice because I'd rush down and buy it if it were out.
Yeah.
Like next week, next day, tomorrow, next week, you know. But it finally comes out. I had maybe my best high school game ever, like the day after I got this album. I barely knew the album. I hadn't had a chance to play it much. Dave Stanfield, of course, is throwing the party. He always did. He was an enterprising guy. He would charge like $3 to $5 for the day. And in 1976, I think you could buy a keg of beer for $28 or something. They had, you know.
So he's turning a profit.
Oh yeah, he hustled us up church. But he let me only because I had a good game. He said this.
Yeah.
You get to play some Stevie Wonder for 3 songs or whatever it was, right?
Nice.
You know, otherwise they're playing Foghat. There were some good bands at the time playing out there. Doobie Brothers were hot back then. But yeah, they let me in for my Stevie Wonder time. But I just remember that night so vividly because of, you know, all the coincidences of all those things happening together.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be coming out in September. We haven't had an NFL preview, and we're not going to make this all formal or anything like that. But I just want to hear your thoughts about this upcoming NFL season.
I'm rooting for the Seahawks, as always, my home team.
Sure.
And I think they're going to be okay. It was kind of weird, some of the different changes. DK gone, Tyler gone, Geno gone, but I like Coach Mike, and he didn't get a full shot the first time around, right? He was hired after the draft, like after they already put a lot of things in place.
Yeah.
And they won 10 games. Like I would bet the over on Seattle. I think their over-under is only like, is it 8.5 or 9 at the most?
Tough division.
Yeah. I mean, it's all hard. The usual suspects are going to be around, like,
Of course.
to make any big, bold prediction. There's usually one kind of outsider, like maybe Tampa's really good. Maybe Atlanta with Michael Vick. I mean, not Michael Vick.
Last year.
Michael Vick did play there. By the way, Mike Penix, great guy. He helped me with the foundation.
I was going to say he showed up on. I saw him on runfreely.org.
Yeah, we did. We were going back in time here, but we've done a few little fun money-making things to raise money for the next veteran. Mike Penix I think we had 15 people at $1,000 apiece. Joe Montana did the same thing. We just did a quick, promised him, you come in, we'll shake your hand, I'll say a speech, we'll take pictures.
Awesome.
Throw me 8 passes, you're out of here, because he's a busy guy. But getting names like that and giving, half hour of their time or more, that kind of lends credence
Absolutely.
To what the whole thing's about. I want to go back to the game we just saw, because that was so weird, period. More information is coming about the spitting incident.
Spitgate, yeah.
So Dak did spit, but to me, it didn't look like he was.
What was the distance there? It seemed like it was like he met his eyes afterward.
Yeah, I thought it was like maybe, I don't know what the conversation was. Something was said, and he kind of like that's how I read it. Not that I'm.
It was like yards away.
Yeah. Then now they're face to face, so that thing was pretty obvious. But
and I'm a little bit frustrated with the Cowboys offense there, because the clip that I saw, because I was coming home from work, I didn't get to see it live. The clip that I saw was that Jalen Carter got up in Dak's face and they're jawing at each other. If I'm an offensive lineman for Dallas, I'm not letting Jalen Carter get anywhere near Dak.
Yeah, you would think. It's funny because you would think they would have turned their bodies. Instead, he was just barely protruding from 2 offensive linemen. But they didn't turn around to confront. The whole thing was weird. So he gets thrown out. Then you got CeeDee Lamb like tearing it up in the first half. Then he suddenly couldn't catch a pass.
Hey, that double halftime is weird. That double halftime is very weird.
Yeah. Hey, it
was a wild start to the NFL season. I don't know. Last year's start to the NFL season, Ravens versus Chiefs, was a wild game as well. That was when, what's his name? The tight end, backup for Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely is going off. Everybody thinks he's the next, second coming of Christ. Really? And then this year being an incredibly weird game as well. I think we have this whole season to look forward to, but then we have 2026 season opener to look forward to as well, just to find out whatever weird stuff is going to happen next.
It's funny. I watched the thing on Netflix, the what's called the Gambler and His Cowboys, Jerry Jones, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Really well told. And it's funny, if you liked him before, you probably still do. If you didn't like him, I'm going to say you almost like him more, because he kind of admits how flawed he is, that he's such an egomaniac and he has to have credit and he has to have attention. He just says it, and you're like, well, at least he's being straight about it. And the whole thing where he fires Jimmy Johnson after 2 Super Bowl wins in a row doesn't even make any sense, and it was all over ego. It was just simply they each wanted more newspaper ink to praise them for how smart they were for doing this or this trade, or I don't know. What a weird way to do it. But yeah, I had a Jerry Jones weird incident years ago when I used to do the fake NFL stories.
Yeah.
You remember the movie District 9?
I do. I never saw it. I was wanted to see it, but I had not seen it.
It's a story about racism, about aliens being
apartheid in South Africa. Yeah,
exactly. So when they built their new stadium, their scoreboard is the biggest, most ridiculous scoreboard ever. So we pretended that it was the sound stage for District 9 Part 2, and that was going to be, the key shot with this. So there's a scene in the movie where he turns, the character kind of turns into an alien. We wanted Jerry Jones to pretend that he was, and we somehow, I mean, they got everything at that stadium. We ordered up 2 lobster claws because, of course, they would have those at one of the suites. And Jerry's going to shove it up his suit jacket and then reveal he's turning into a lobster alien, right? He's going along with all of it. He thinks it's funny, it's silly. He's doing whatever I tell him, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, their PR guy is at a little distance away and he's watching. He says, "What the fuck? What? You never say you got a damn lobster claw. What?" And, he's screaming at my producer while we're trying to shoot the lobster claw scene. We ended up getting it done. I've been around him once or twice. He was always good to meet, but definitely the whole Dallas thing it's just like it's a Netflix show.
It's a soap opera.
Ongoing Netflix show.
Absolutely. I will say say what you will about Jerry Jones, but he does treat at least in the 2020 season when, nobody's in the stadiums, or at least, if they are, they're spread out. I was on practice squad at the time with the Browns, and we're traveling to all the other games, and we're being put up in a suite because these suites aren't being filled for the COVID safety. And some teams are treating us better than others. Some aren't giving us food. Some are. Say what you will about Jerry Jones, but he did give each and every player who was on practice squad, at least for the Browns, for the game that we were there, a Stanley Cup, or it was like a travel mug for coffee for like the local casino. I don't know what involvement he has with it, but they got a travel mug that I used for years. So yeah, we got a little souvenir coming home from that game.
That's pretty good. I want to know, for someone who lived it, I've been maintaining for quite a while. They're going to make these guys play 25 games a year one day. They keep adding, and it's just too violent and too dangerous to be adding more contact, in my opinion. Do they really need as many exhibition games? They even get mad. ESPN would get in trouble if we called it exhibition. You have to call it preseason, or the league would be pissed. But what would be wrong with just 2 of them and maybe a couple or 3 controlled scrimmages? Get 4 teams together.
Yeah.
Do a bunch of live contact, control 20 and in.
Assuming that you're going to 2 preseason games, likely means that there's an 18th game at that point, because that's the only way the NFL is, and the TV rights are going to get away with it. They don't want to give up
the money.
Of course. When I was in the league in 2020, I was obviously a member of the NFLPA. So I was a voting member for that CBA, the most recent CBA that happened in 2020. And that was a big deal because it did pass on its first vote, but it barely passed. I think it was like by 1%. And I remember specifically voting in favor of it because of the benefits that it was going to offer to practice squad players. It was going to add a practice squad position. It was going to offer certain benefits. I don't remember the full extent of it, and then you're looking at guys who, it's giving you an extra game check, which is, you're not getting paid more for preseason games. You'll get, the NFL contracts are based on the games that you play. So, an extra an 18th game is an extra 1/17 of your contract that goes to the end of it.
Yeah.
So guys who are making $1 million a game, it's an extra $1 million. When it comes down to your point of why can't we just do like a controlled scrimmage? I remember when I was with the Browns and with the Vikings, the most stressful time of camp was when the other team's coming to either your turf or you're going to theirs for those joint practices, because you never know what's going to happen. Kevin Stefanski was my head coach when I was in Cleveland, and he had specific rules of like, if you get in a fight and you're a starter, you have to play in the next preseason game, which nobody wanted to do.
Right.
If you got in a fight and you weren't a starter, that means you're not playing, which means that you have your chances of making this team are precipitously dropping. So there's this, it's super tense, and it's just like this, I think 3 or 4 straight practices of everybody kind of just being on edge leading up into this.
You know what I think it is? I think it's the ego of the coaching staffs. They don't want to be judged by other. Look at you guys, sloppy organ.
Oh, absolutely. There's that feeling of not wanting to be embarrassed, like just at practice and stuff, where normally you might be a little bit more relaxed, but it's so many more eyes on you.
Right. I remember Pete Carroll telling me the importance of them is not so much. I mean, you want to see how the rookies can play at their feet, but it's more practicing going to games. Literally, like how do you show up? How do you get on the bus? How do you check in the hotel? You know?
Yeah, and in 2020 we didn't have preseason games, so do we have preseason games? We had inter squad stuff, but I remember maybe there was one preseason game. I remember that we did have like a dress rehearsal like thing where we did offense versus defense, you know, ones and twos and whatever, and we went to the stadium and went through that whole process. But when we had, I remember before the 2022 season, we did an inter squad practice with the Eagles. I think 2 or 3 times before our preseason game against them. And I think this was our second preseason game. The first one was against Jacksonville. Then Philadelphia comes to us, and you know, there are periods in which you are, you know, they call it shells without like the lower pads on. You just got your shoulder pads on your helmets. It's still obviously a physical game. You have to protect yourself, especially when there's somebody else's defense going up against you. But it's all, you know, I think most players would associate shells with being a less physical practice. Yeah. Now, one of the reasons, probably not the major reason, but one of the reasons I did get cut that 2022 season was because I separated my shoulder in a practice against the Eagles, because after I caught a pass and turned upfield, the Eagles DB caught me up underneath my shoulder pad and like tried to lay a hit on me and just immediately hit me the wrong way. And now I have a bump in my shoulder where my collarbone sticks out.
How did you switch from quarterback to a fullback?
Yeah. At UNLV, my senior year, I wasn't going to play quarterback. I wasn't starting. We had a guy by the name of Armani Rogers who ended up becoming a tight end at Washington. And Armani was going to start that year. They decided before the season that I was like breaking down because I thought, you know, my college career is over. I'm not going to play. But I'm thinking, okay, the perseverance of it all, I want to be able to get on the field. So I asked the coaches after that, I think week 2 game. Week 1, we lose to Jackson State. I think it might have been Dion's team. I forget. And it was like, technically, I think based on the betting odds and the spread, I think it was the biggest upset in college football history if you're just going off of the spread. I think we were like something like 35, 40 point favorites and we got beat. And then
I think we lost to Howard, also a similar big spread.
That's what it was. It was Howard. I beat Jackson State the year before. It was Howard that beat us that year. Yeah. So it was, you know, it was a rough loss for us. But week 2, Armani has a great game against Idaho and kind of secures that starting spot. I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to, you know, he's a freshman that year. They're going to let him have the starting job. It's not going to be something where they're going to pull the freshman if he's playing bad. So I asked the coaches, can I play some special teams? Can I just get on the field somewhere? And after a little while, they do let me. And the first game playing special teams at punt return, I ended up getting a punt block. I blocked in the punt against San Jose State. Fast forward, the defensive coaches asked me to play some linebacker against, who was it? It was Air Force at first, and then Utah State. Jordan Love was quarterback over there. And then the rest of the season was kind of going slow for me until I did get to start a couple games at quarterback. But like that doesn't necessarily make a senior year for a guy who's trying to make it into the NFL. So I figure my career is over. Once that season is done, I decide, well, the CFL is calling me. I'm going to see if I can do that, and if I'm working out and trying to stay in shape and continue to you know, train for a CFL workout, I might as well do our pro day. So I do a pro day at quarterback, tight end, and long snapper, and then I get pulled into a linebacker drill as well. So it was an exhausting day for me in the late spring Vegas heat, and but I'm able to impress enough to the point where I get a call from the Vikings to come try out for the team. I am playing tight end against a bunch of other guys who are either trying out or they're draft picks or they're undrafted free agents. But I'm playing tight end for the first time. I'm doing okay, but I'm showing off enough of my athleticism so where that the Vikings tell me after that rookie minicamp weekend is over, they say, hey, can you stick around for another day? You and 3 other guys. I'm thinking, okay, 3 out of the 40 or something that were here. Sure. That's probably got to be good news. And they put me through the physicals. I pass the physicals, and they bring me back to the facility, and they say, we're signing you. Whoever they we didn't know who was being cut, but I ended up getting signed after that. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
I wasn't going in expecting anything. So I'm thinking, I just had this workout at tight end. I gotta learn how to play tight end even more than I do right now, that I knew it at that point. And I'm at the airport, and I get a tag on Twitter saying the Minnesota Vikings mentioned you on a tweet. So I look at it. Okay, they're going to announce, that I'm on the team, and maybe I get to find out like what number I am. So it says we signed 4 players from this weekend's rookie minicamp: a linebacker, a safety, a receiver, and Johnny Stanton, number 48, fullback. And that's how I found out that I was a fullback in the league.
You thought it was like a mistake, like they screwed it up?
I didn't know what to think. I was waiting for my flight home, and then because I still needed to take finals at UNLV and finish off my school year.
Yeah.
And I find out that I'm playing fullback while I'm at the airport leaving Minnesota. And at that point, I was actually got to be trained by locally Mike Carney, former Saints and Rams fullback, was a local, lived locally to me, and I was able to get in contact with him. So he coached me up. And then that preseason, I break my ankle. So just, more injuries and trying to return from it. Luckily, I had another chance at the Browns, but the fullback was completely on accident. It wasn't necessarily something I chose, but definitely something that I took advantage of and embraced.
I'm not physical enough to want to pick up a 260 blitzing middle linebacker.
Oh no, it's honestly the thing that I remember the most purely of the difference between quarterback and any other position in football, besides punter and kicker, is the two-hand punch. Every position on the field besides quarterback knows how to deliver a two-handed punch, whether to get to block somebody or get off of a block.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing for me to learn for the longest time, was to not just use my shoulder or my head to deliver a blow,
away from you.
To use your hands. And that's the one thing quarterbacks don't know how to do, is use their hands when it comes to physicality and blocking and everything.
Although I feel like I did that more than once. Somebody's trying to get you, and you kind of ward them off with your left, and still.
Still a stiff arm. Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a push. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the punch is a skill.
It's funny. In telling that, you reminded me, we were going back earlier about our lamenting, wish I'd done this or wish I'd done that. And it wasn't so much being a slackard on caring and studying, because we were always trying to learn, I thought, but it was more doing it slightly less risky, because I probably operate that way in most things I do. I kind of shoot for the moon, and you might miss some. But I remember Tony Knapp's, his edict was, we had so many patterns where somebody's running a deep post and somebody's crossing, and then there's the short dump, but it was always look deep first, right? And that's just, to me, a good model for life. Like, shoot for the moon.
The alert.
I don't get to Netflix, but maybe HBO Southeast, and if not them, Hulu Northwest, somewhere.
Yeah.
But the other thing was, this was almost unheard of. He let us call our own plays. They would send in plays occasionally, but more times than not, it was your huddle, And I remember even asking, knowing that that's unusual, I said, why is it you let us do that? We appreciate it. But he said, if I haven't taught you by the end of Friday what I want on Saturday, then I haven't done my job. The whole week is, here's who we're playing, here's what they do, here's what we're installing, work on it. Here's a little adaptation.
I love that.
You should know. And Sam was way smarter than I, because he gave the ball to the 4-3 running backs. I'm thinking I had to always, all right, we're 95, we're going deep, So some of it was just being almost too risky, reckless, I would say.
Yep. Yeah, I think I got compared to Tim Tebow a lot when I was in college, or when I was in high school, because I'm a bigger body kind of guy, more of a runner than I was known as being a passer. So I think that I would have been a better quarterback if I had relied on my arm more than my legs. And it's just the lamenting of it all is something that I think the best athletes are able to kind of turn away from that, even if their base instinct is to tell them you should be, you really should have done better. It's the whole I think Russell Wilson tells a story of touching the ground to press the reset button, or some quarterback tells the story of the reset button. And it's really, really important for quarterbacks, along with every other guy.
It's funny, because you will find more often, it's almost the cliche, the Springsteen song, Glory Days, right?
Yeah.
More people than not, I think, are not doing what we're doing here. They're talking about that one time I struck out 11.
Oh, yeah.
Because they want to hang on to what that, I don't know. It's funny. It's just sort of human nature and personality differences and how you look at it.
Yeah, they say your ego lives wherever you peaked, and the people who peaked in high school continue to live in that moment. I don't know how true that is, but
it's funny.
Speaking of peaking, please.
Sorry, I was going to say I always told my daughters, they I remember Riley didn't get selected for some kids choir, and she had a great voice.
Yeah,
I forget what grade it was. 5th grade, 6th grade? No, some elite choir, right? And I was like, just keep singing, try again next. I was trying to give her the best view of it.
Yeah.
Right? But I remember just saying, Riley, don't peak at 10. Don't peak at 11. Because don't you remember there were a ton of guys in Little League Baseball that you were sure were pitching in the major leagues, they didn't even pitch in high school, much less that.
Well, speaking of peaking, you, not to see this on you, it's more about me. You are known for the era of SportsCenter. I think really started with Boomer of being able to, I don't even know what to call it, but some sort of riff that you would give to a touchdown, a home run, a dunk, a 3-point shot. And there's the whole this is SportsCenter ad that you and Dan Patrick do.
Oh yeah.
About practicing your lines, or if they're coming to you in the moment or not. And I selfishly, I never got that opportunity. I got to score a touchdown on Thursday Night Football, and it ended up being the game securing touchdown. It was the coolest moment of my professional career, and stayed up until 2 a.m. with my family afterwards. And it was, didn't end up waking up for that next morning SportsCenter to be able to see the highlights or whatever. But, I never got that opportunity to have a legendary SportsCenter anchor like you get that touchdown call on the mornings or the night's SportsCenter. I'm going to, if you'll allow this, I'm going to share my screen, and I have
you have the
I have the YouTube video pulled up on my screen. If you are willing to give me just this 30-second clip, what you would give to any other touchdown on the nightly SportsCenter.
Who were you playing? Was this Cleveland against?
I'll give you the background. Yes, this is Thursday Night Football. It's October 2021. Playing the Von Miller-led Broncos. Patrick Surtain is at the right corner, the boundary corner, where I catch my pass. And we are on the 1-yard line. Case Keenum just fumbled into the end zone. We recover, so we're on the 1-yard line. Case Keenum's in for Baker Mayfield, who has COVID. Dearness Johnson's in for Nick Chubb, who has COVID. I'm in for Andy Janovich, who has COVID. And this is Thursday Night Football, October 2021.
You know what I'll do? I was about to say, don't roll it yet. If I were still doing, the only thing I miss on SportsCenter, I do miss the people and the hour, the electricity of it all. But I would so want to use the line I'm about to use.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Okay. This is, again...
what down is it?
This is, I think, first down. This is third quarter. With this, I think it's, at this point, I think it's 10-7 Browns are up. So you let me know if there's any issue on making this video. All right.
First and goal from the 1. A lot of COVID going on. Johnny Stanton open in the flat. Thank you for your attention to this matter. His first NFL touchdown. Throw it down, big man.
Hell yes. That made my life. If none of this was for anything else, this was, this made it worth it.
I messed up. I would have wanted to do it over. I thought you said it was a 1-yard run. And then I saw the pass, but I just played it off. So it's funny. There were times, many times, it's the old thing about say less, but be correct. That's true with a lot of things, right? Like I could write a paper right now on something I don't know a lot about, but just do the declarative things that make it seem like, right? So like football is pretty good. Like I didn't, most of the time you don't need a shot sheet, but, other sports, hockey, I wasn't as good at. If you had some, 12 foreign players that I hadn't heard of in the NBA in week 2, right? So you would just minimize like a hockey play with 6 touches of the puck, just great passing by the Canucks. Look at them move that puck around, pause. So-and-so scores the goal, And in fact, when we did the Olympics for Peacock, the shot sheets got better, but the first couple of days, pretty rough. These are the notes, you're going to use to call the highlight. And I would say things like, these Romanians don't like to be cited individually. It's a team sport. You fight your way out of the problem, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's useful in other aspects. But I think other than not naming the quarterback, who threw that?
That was Case Keenum, and I'm more than happy to give you give you a retake.
No, I'm happy. I mean, Case will have to live with it. He didn't get mentioned. There wasn't enough time. Who did you say fumbled? So you guys had the ball at the 1.
So Case fumbled into the end zone on a scramble, and then we recovered to be on the 1 yard line still.
Oh, okay.
I should see. That's me. It's on me as producer, not giving you the correct notes.
Yeah. Well, believe me, there were many times on SportsCenter, which kind of made it fun. Like, I loved the danger of it. You just never wanted to get hung out where you look like a fucking idiot. And the next story is a murder story, or somebody passed away.
Yeah.
And you're out there clowning around. Like, they would even get in your like, hey, don't say so-and-so's about to read a serious story. But 99% of the time, we had great producers, great help.
Yeah.
Trusted I could do a game with no paperwork that just ended, but there was no time to get me the print of the 4 plays or whatever. And you just trusted that Derek in your ear or John in your ear, whoever it was going to say, all right, second inning, so-and-so's out.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the and we'll get you going. I don't want to keep you too long. You've already spent an incredible amount of time with me. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
But speaking of the whole reset button as a quarterback, was there ever a time when I don't know if you're live or recording or what, where you knew that you made a mistake, or you knew that you wish that you could take something back, and you just have to be able to push past it, despite the fact that there are more highlights to come, that you can't just take a break and reset during a commercial break?
What they hated that I did, because I thought viewers at home deserved us to be honest and admit we just fucked up. Don't pretend that was great. Now here so I would more than the next guy note that we fucked it up, or that and make a joke and keep bringing back, and not like that Clippers highlight that I ruined, But the other way to do it would be like, you'd say Krivakrazov, or whatever the hockey guy's name is, and you said it wrong, and I would just say pause for editing, and I'd pause for like half a second, knowing later we're going to fix that 9 seconds, but we don't have to fix the whole highlight, right?
Sure.
And they got so good at it, because it's all digital now. It's they can. In fact, we have 3 or 4 minute commercial breaks, and they'll say, "Hey, you said 19 rebounds. It was 18. Just say 19." Or say whatever the number was. And I go, 19. Say it again. 19? No, 19. And then they would take 19 and slip it in a quick little edit, and we don't have to stay late and fix the show. Because whatever the last show of the night was, which was usually 1 o'clock Eastern or 10 o'clock West, whatever the last show was, you have to make it perfect to run it the next day 5 times. You don't want 19 instead of 18, or the wrong name, or the wrong winner. Right. Me and Scott Van Pelt, you can Google this. Look up Main Street, Mayne, Main Street Fixes, FIX.
I love the video. It's hilarious.
Might be my favorite one I ever did, because it was so true, and Scott was so good in it. Allison was great in it.
I was just watching it again this afternoon, or maybe this morning. And what's the line that he gives after you sneeze, of like, sweet death or something like that?
Oh, my sweet death. And I thought the funniest part was like we're, for those who don't know, we're talking about the old show I did called Main Street. Had Aubrey Plaza, Allison Becker, Ben Schwartz, John Glazer, all these. John Mulaney was in the episode. And it was a situation comedy about life at ESPN, right? But it was like little 4-minute, episodes. And the first one we ever did, we called Fixes, for the subject we're talking about fixing shows so they can re-air. And I can't say Rafa Nadal's name correctly. I keep calling him Rafi or Rafi, and they keep, Kenny, you did it again. It's Rafa, not Rafi. Okay, let me try again, guys. And I keep trying to fix it. Scott breaks down. Now we're pretending we've been there for 5 hours, and Scott's like, my counselor Vikram says the reason my marriage is falling apart is because I'm not home very much, and I'm not home because of you. And Allison Becker plays my producer. She's trying to soothe me through this thing, but they take it and give it to Scott, but then the cameraman falls asleep and he's not rolling. It's pretty funny.
Kenny, thank you so much for
great
carrying
to meet
on.
you this way.
Great to meet you as well. We have a tradition here on Athletics Check where I don't know if you ever rolled a 20-sided die before, what they call a D20.
No, but I got a good crap story from Vegas if you have time.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if you have time, we're on your schedule right now.
I want to know, somebody must know when I usually have something. I like stuff in my hands, and sometimes I click a pen, which I know you're not supposed to. I like when I'm being interviewed, I either have dice, a pen, possibly a golf club or a football. I just like something to fiddle with. Like
I've got this little guy.
Oh my God! If our little guy shows up, we have a new kitten. I'll text
podcast listener. I just held up my cat.
If you follow any of my stuff, Instagram, we've put Winston is his name. He's like this big. He's a tiny little.
He talks.
No, that's Walter.
Oh, it's Walter.
Walter can call for minnows. He'll go minnow, minnow. And so we're playing craps. I won't even tell you the hotel so we don't get killed.
Sure.
And we're chilling. Like craps is the one game I love. Like I'll waste money on that.
You can get on a roll, yeah.
When it gets good, it's good. So everybody's hitting everything. Hardways, parlay, 12s, anything you want. Everybody's ahead. My friend Ben gets the dice, and he's rolling. He's killing too. But he throws one time, and one of the die, I'm showing you visually, it ends up like this. It's sitting on its edge.
Wow.
Because it leaned up against some chips.
I was going to say, yeah.
So is it a 5? Is it a 4? Or is it going to keep spinning? Is it, they just scooped it away with a stick and go 7 out. We're like, wait, how is that a 7? It never fell.
Do that?
And
the cameras.
They did do that. And so Ben, who might have had a drink or two, he's now rightfully protesting, but in a way, I just saw a casino on the way out, right? So like they're either going to kill him, cut his hand off, or we're getting arrested. Something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
I just know we're not going to win the argument. Doesn't matter because it's not. They already pulled it and they already took the money.
The floor boss isn't there for the customer.
He
benefit.
pretended that he missed it. I didn't see it, and he walks away.
Oh God!
So I get the dice, and I throw the dice overhand over the head of everybody. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too far? And then we just cashed in our chips and left. But it was one of those.
Well, it sounded like you came out on top.
Yeah, we won money and had a great story to tell. All right, What was the tradition you said about a long, big die?
There are two things. Now that you have been an honored guest on the podcast of Athletics Check, there are two things that I want you to do. One, we want to get your name in the rafters, your jersey in the rafters, and if you need a number, we're going to have you roll a D100.
I'll trust you to do it for me.
Okay.
So I don't get to pick my number, is what you're saying. Just it's going to be whatever it is.
I don't care what number you had in college. I don't know what number you had when you're in your 2 seconds with the Seahawks. I'm going to roll a D100 to determine what your jersey is in the rafters of the Athletics Check.
And where are the rafters? Are these virtual rafters or physical?
We'll get them built. I think we're working on moving some funds around to get those things built. We're going to roll a 10. This is the 10 spot. So it's a 6 and a 2. You're number 62 in the Athletics Check Hall of Fame.
It's like I'm a guard. I'm now a guard. I'm TJ Lang or somebody. I don't remember what number he was. What number is he? Wait.
But congratulations. You are being inducted into the Hall of Fame as number 62. And the last thing I'm going to have you do is...
Hold on. NFL guards who wore 62. I know Jerry Kramer wore 64.
Let me see if I can get it before you can. Hey, Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wait, Kelsey's 62?
I'm looking at a picture. It says 62. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's an old picture.
I believe you.
Yeah, we're going to go with 62. I see two pictures.
62. But I could be wrong.
We're not going to fact check.
I liked there were some, through the years, some super weird numbers. Wasn't John Hadel, the quarterback, like number 21 or something like that? 21 or 21.
I remember the Michigan quarterback who didn't tie his shoelaces wore like number 98 or something.
I like that.
I don't remember what his name was. The last thing we're going to do, and again, thank you so much for your time. We're going to end on this, is we're going to roll a D20. This is the more classic 20-sided die. It's called an isocotrahedron. This is determining what your athletics ability is. What kind of bonus would you give yourself? Like anything, anywhere between like a 1 and maybe a 7 or something.
I'll go 6 for Sonny 6 Killer.
I love it.
Former Washington quarterback.
So we're going to roll a D20, and whatever it comes out to, we're going to add a 6.
Gotcha.
So 1 is a complete failure. A 20 is, best you could possibly do. We're hoping for a 20 here. Kenny, I'm not joking. I'm going to share my screen with you right now.
Is it 14 plus 6?
It is a natural 20.
Oh,
you see this right here. Natural 20. For the first time in athletics check history, Kenny Mayne, that's a natural 20 on your athletics check, and I just want to say congratulations. This should be the highlight of your career.
It's a high honor, and I was proud to be here. I appreciate you having me on, and watch our show. We Need a Fourth, and maybe watch Wiffle Ball and my comedy thing if we get lucky.
We Need a Fourth, Wiffle Ball. Watch old episodes of Main Event, Wider World of Sports. Just watch old sports highlights.
Main Street.
Main Street.
Oh, the other one I'm going to send you. I think you'll like this. You can show it at any time. I covered children playing miniature golf, did commentary as they played, and then I worked that into my stand-up thing that I was telling you about earlier. So
hell yeah,
some callbacks. All right, man. Have a great night.
Kenny, thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to that. That was such an awesome experience. Kenny is he's hilarious. He's texting me pictures of his cat now, which is something that I never would have expected. As growing up a sports fan and knowing about Kenny for so long, and just having he just texts me pictures of his kids and of his cat, which is just hilarious. So thank you so much for listening. This is an effing funny production. Thank you so much to our editor, Frank Janish. Thank you so much to Anand Shah and Sandeep Parikh and everybody else involved with the show. You guys are the best. You listeners are the best. You viewers. Can't wait for the next episode. We hopefully are going to start doing some more often. I'm a dad now. I didn't even talk about that in the interview or the intro. Baby Jay, John the Fifth, is going to be taking up a lot of my time. So hopefully I can get these episodes out as much as possible. But thank you all for listening and for following along with me. And one more thing, almost forgot. Roll me an athletics check.